Yeah. Let me bring this on. Does it work? It works. Great. So, yeah, hello. Uldis here from Accenture Latvia. The reason for this topic really is missing information in all these conferences, in a way, at least for me, for topics which I was looking for. I go to a conference, I want to know how to make it bigger, how to do more DevOps, how to make our projects better. And all talks are about fairly small team doing their thing, but not explaining how they got there. Really, how they managed to move from being just a team to DevOps team and then large-scale DevOps project. Such things exist like Amazon, like Netflix, where their company can be DevOps, but there are not that many stories where they explain, well, this is what you need to do and this is what you shouldn't do. So where my story comes from, I started 5 years ago. Basically, this is my story. I started 5 years ago, joined a team of 2 guys, so I was third one. And somehow, we needed to get bigger, we got more projects, company was growing, and somehow I needed to take care of everyone, which now is 100 people. I can't find a book which really helps me on this. I don't know, if you can recommend one, please. So this is my story. What I need to remind is I'm coming from a company which is 400,000 employees. Everywhere, it's around the globe. So you can imagine that for every smallest thing, every process, every role, there is written guidelines, rules, how you should do this. But none of them say, if you are at the team of 10, do this. If you are 50, do this. 100, do this. None of that. So somehow I needed to get there by myself. On top of all this, because it doesn't really help me specifically. So who am I? And what are my responsibilities? ST stands for specialty track. That's how we call groups of specialized professionals, let's put it that way. So simple, right? Expertise in everything, so you need to know everything. Take care of your people, whatever, doesn't matter how big, how many there are. Grow it, so with every month, every quarter, every year, get bigger, because that's business, that's more people, that's more salaries, that's more revenue for company here in Latvia. Ensure demand for your growth, so projects, projects, projects. If you get more people, what they will do. Simple, right? So, those years ago, 2014 March, after a few years, this is what we were doing. I was basically in the middle. We had, firstly, one project where we tried to apply some DevOps practices. We didn't even call it DevOps. And people around me coming for help, for advice, and working on their roles. One thing which we did actually very well, and people at company were looking at me like crazy at the beginning, on purely waterfall project, I started running stand-ups. Simple thing, right? For them, that was like, what is happening? What these guys every morning are doing? But that worked very well. We grew into 2-3 projects, and we kept running those stand-ups for us DevOps people, just to share what's going on. Then another role which expanded, so I was counseling everyone in that group also on their careers, which means a lot of talks. So once we grew, those people who were in the group, senior ones, started counseling others. So getting new roles, which is good. So help counsel, guide, monitor performance, because 2 times per year you will need to give some feedback how this person is doing, which obviously grew into this. This is about 20 people, 20, 30 people, which means everyone, once they can't find a counselor, which probably is person with 2 years experience in IT, so he's not really capable of helping with everything, still everyone was coming to me. Crazy. What we kept doing were stand-ups for 20, 30 people, also monitor with video for people who are in other locations. It went a bit out of control. People started skipping them because they couldn't understand a word what's really going on, because people from different projects, from different technologies are trying to share their updates and tell what they will do next. Obviously, when we grew, we got bigger projects where we had one DevOps guy to lead 2, 3 other guys. So basically a team lead. That's kind of a substitution, that's small part of a bigger team who are doing everything else. Let's be honest, when you see DevOps engineer, he's typically working on pipelines, not on how to connect business with development. Typically they work with pipelines, with automation. So, simple. Team leads. Okay. That naturally helped. That meant that I personally got less communications. Still, if there's one DevOps guy on a project, then the only contact is, again, me. Which means every day, a lot of communications, project escalations, and so on. So what happened, I don't know, some 2 years ago, I very good remember myself waking up at Monday morning, staying like this, looking at ceiling and not moving. I realized that now I am responsible for 30, 35 guys. It wasn't a breakdown, it wasn't a burnout, but it was amount of responsibility, because that's also project responsibility. What really was going on was every day after hobbies, getting to my laptop, answering last emails. That's what kept working on. So what I understood, what's happening? I have so many non-project activities as well. Projects are handled by team leads in a way, but there's so much stuff going on. Universities, engagement, and many things. So I decided, okay, I need help. I need to do something about this. So I started new role, subject matter expert, who needs to be expert in DevOps, but also take care of other things. So I tried to go to my people, say, hey, now we'll have team of subject matter experts who will not care only about projects, but also take care of other things. Without definition what those other things are really, because you can't even define that. There could be anything. I tried to call everyone in one room and explain what we will do. I talked about some 20 items, what we need to take care of. People were really engaged to do this stuff, but nothing was happening. It was like, who wants to pick up this item? There's a room of 25 people, everyone is like, yeah, well, yeah. It wasn't working. It was just too big group to do anything, to agree on anything. So 2, 3 active guys were talking, others were like, what the hell I'm doing here? I would like to take something, but I'm a bit too shy in front of 25 people to say I will do this. And that's a big commitment as well. What I did is I split those 25 people into SME teams and said, hey, these are teams, who wants to be in which team? And that worked very well. We got lead for each of those teams. We got people who are sometimes in more than one team to work on all non-project topics. Another important thing, where is it? Be efficient, as we call it. It's not on this slide, but so this is how it looks in result, basically. SME teams, as one group of people in a way, still projects, so some people having two roles. What's important about those SME people? We need to somehow take care of quality in our projects. Not just quality, about maturity, about what is DevOps, what this project should be doing. If I'm the one going to those projects and saying, this is DevOps, this is not DevOps, this is how you can improve that, I can't go to 20 projects and talk about this. So those SMEs started to do maturity assessments, monthly interviews with all projects to say, is this DevOps or is this not DevOps, to put it simple as possible. So guys started interviewing each other in different projects and actually talking, hey, is this what you do, actually continuous integration, or you're actually just building stuff on a server and all your pipelines are red and everyone is ignoring that? What we can do to improve this? Which worked, again, very, very well. Then, yeah. So this group grew up to 50, 60 people, and still every one of them, when he had, let's say, a personal issue, then he still came to me. Because, hey, you rule this, and this is not project stuff, and this is not SME stuff, so I'm coming to you. Some of them went to their career counselors, as you saw, but it's not always working that well. So it's impossible to take care of 60 people one-to-one. So yeah, what we started, we split that group into 7 subgroups, as we call them guilds. Simple as that. Where each of guild is led by evangelist. Again, some of my responsibilities as ST lead, now they are empowered to take care of their people. I'm not doing that anymore. To, well, in a way, how mid-management, which typically is seen as not a good thing. In this case, this is why mid-management is needed, because there's one person in the middle of night answering emails, right? That's not working. So yeah, even more complex. Clouds are guilds, crazy hard to understand where is what. Imagine you are, let's get there in a second. So that's it, not getting into detail. Another thing, all those projects, now 30, were coming to me. If I'll go back and forget about Godfather, what's happening? People are taken care of by guilds. 30 projects, when they have escalation, are coming to me. All time disappears in projects. So yeah, new role which we started was Godfathers. Now people taken my role to be point of escalation. So really focus on projects, which for them is role which they never saw in their life. Because this is, in a way, project management. So now we have weekly workshops where we talk about this, we have daily meetings where we talk how you're doing in projects and so on and so on. People learning every day what does it mean to be a godfather, when I was doing that for 5 years and I didn't know it. Somehow I need to clone myself. That's what this all is about. So for each project now we have a godfather who's even not an official role, but someone who knows about the project, instead of me being in the center of everything. That's how it is. That's what we did. At the end, when client comes over and wants to see Riga, what we show, they are not interested in all this stuff. Godfathers, evangelists, that's just confusing. They don't need it. We talk what we have in result. Those 7 guilds specialized on something, continuous delivery, continuous deployment. That's all what we do, not getting into detail. We talk about trainings, that each of those guilds will have separate training roadmap, and there will be general one, which all DevOps people must learn. It's actually required as mandatory thing to pass trainings. Another thing what we talk about are roles, what we have inside and externally. We talk about different setups, what we actually do on projects, where one team runs a platform, where one team, where 1-2 guys are part of development team or ops team, because we still have this traditional separation in some projects. We work with oldish clients to transform them into DevOps. Those are things we talk about with clients. When I'm a lead, I need to think about all these things somehow. This is idea which came to my mind basically last week when I was thinking how to explain when I'm doing what and when I need to care about what. And when you try to talk about, let's pick strategy, who gives a shit about strategy? Some people do, I do, but why I do it? And then I understand, okay, I do it because strategy is important for us as a group. For individual, does strategy matter? You work on a project, do you care about strategy, some strategy of someone? Not really. So I was able to come up with something like this to understand why we do things for whom, and then to separate that and what's important for individual and what everyone should care about when someone who's responsible for a group like evangelist, like ST lead, what are those things? This over time will grow out into more separation, more roles probably. But for me, that gives understanding where is the problem, why I can't clone myself, and how to get there. Which makes me to look at what others are doing. Everyone has seen this, I believe. It's old, it's several years for sure. Okay, if I'm doing this, what others are doing, how companies run, where can I learn from? Of course, that's a joke. Apple looks bad. In a way, it's a joke, in a way, not. And in Accenture, I typically was saying, well, guys, we're actually here. Joke or not, but that's true. But then when you start looking at topics, what is internal competition and how it's good for business, it actually makes so much sense what Microsoft is doing in that way. We do something very similar. But still, that doesn't help me. For me, for my 100, it doesn't help. Back then, at size of 50, I was looking at another unicorn, Spotify, and now everyone is copying their practices for last years. What I came up with was, well, this is what we do already, it's not good enough. I need to do something else. And then I tried to understand, well, what is that, what we do, what we're missing, and guess what? This is what's missing. That fluffy thing, culture. Do those organizational models talk about culture? Do they give you any advice on? You saw a few presentations who say basically everyone needs to work together. Yeah, how you make it happen? So I tried to look further, how to make it happen. For us, I believe, for us, group of 100, we're good. We are collaborating. We are doing things as it's expected to be. When we go to and try to talk with others, we see issues here and there. Obviously, one company can have, for different groups, different cultures. So there's some small research, not getting into details. You can look it up at Quality Safety. Research on company culture models, what's happening. So they say, okay, 3 types of companies: pathological, bureaucratic, generative. What it personally means for me is this. Pathological. You go to work, you sit there 8 hours, it doesn't matter where, and you believe that you did your job well. I know such people, quite many, from IT, from not IT, who actually believe this is what's expected. And this is what's being between lines shared by management that this is the time when you arrive, this is the time when you leave, you get paid for this. And people take this as, yes, okay, this is my job. Go to work, leave work. Then bureaucratic, which sometimes are really engaged people. They will fight about small process whole day because it's in a book. Is that agile? Does always process which is 5 years old but documented, does it always make sense? I'm one of those guys who goes to management and tries to change written down rules because of that and this. And the company of 400,000 has some rules which are outdated, so we go and try to change them. Then generative, crazy people who, it doesn't matter how much time it takes, it needs to be done because I want to deliver. That's where I'm trying to be always, and hopefully my people as well. So what is culture? Quite many have tried to define it. I'm not going to read that out for you, just saving time as well. What really, for me, means culture, which is on slide already, is not what you do as a group, as company, as team, but how you respond to events. How well prepared you are to deal with something what never happened. As a group, what you will do? Will everyone run around screaming? Will everyone look in a book, which probably doesn't have a rule how to deal with this, but everyone will be spending 5 hours reading procedures, or group will be ready to take this new issue, which never happened, and start dealing with this. That's what culture, what it means for me. And that, as per their research as well, means what your leaders do. Again, of course, there would be a lot of research and slides, what Google already has found, what AWS is saying, well, Amazon, not AWS, Amazon. They did huge research on what that is. Actually, I'm missing slides saying performance achievement, where Accenture has done the same. Every big company is trying to understand how to make things better. And all of them come down to leadership. That those people are ones who can drive culture, who can change culture. If you look up, how many has actually read State of DevOps report, latest one? How many DevOps people we have here? Like true DevOps followers. I hope that after this conference there will be more. But every year this is being published, and this year they are also having focus on leadership, as they call it, transformational leadership. Not getting into detail today. So, our culture, I talked about culture, talked about history, where we are now, what we do now, what does it mean for me? One thing what we have publicly for everyone is luxophores of maturity, of DevOps maturity in each of our projects. So everyone knows, is this project kinda oldish and they don't have continuous delivery because they're not ready for it, because they can't do it. Someone else is running like crazy and it's all green. I can't explain why green ones are on top and those are really cool projects, because down on the list there's everything red. And we know that our projects are pretty red. It doesn't mean they are not delivering. If we would look at latest DevOps practices, then they are not using them. Why? Because it's not important for business today. I hope it makes any sense. Then we have a lot of internal documentation. What are expectations? What are our processes? Which needs to be updated all the time. Imagine yourself joining company on the first day, getting this and saying, please read this. Can you handle that? But people are expected to know this stuff, to behave as it's expected in this culture. So it's hard, of course. For communication, we use chat every day, 24 hours per day. People who want snooze it, good. Emails definitely going out all the time, scheduled meetings, and attend. What helps a lot and why I personally don't believe virtually distributed teams, shouting from one end of the room who knows this stuff works way better than posting in chat and asking who can help me with this. But we need to do it. We need to scale. We can't all hundreds sit in one room, for example. What else we have done, which could seem probably even stupid or childish, we are given advice as what does it mean good communication. This is written like 4 years ago. For English native speakers, probably that's not needed. For Latvians and Russians as well, when they say please, they mean it. For Englishmen, when you say please, my manager pulled me into a separate room and said, people are saying that you are offending them and you are very demanding. I was like, what? That's my true life experience. Yeah, that's how it is. SMEs meetings, so those 10, 11 groups catching up on their own. I'm not even looking over. They are driving their topics in which they are interested in. And all having nice Kanban boards because planning, it can't really it can't be done because it's just a flow of tasks, of ideas. Then once per month, not reading that all, it's just a screenshot from what that is, documentation, official one. But yeah, once per month, I finally talk with everyone in monthly meeting to share what's up, what's new, who has joined, who has left. Typically no one is leaving, so that doesn't apply. What new projects are we getting, and so on and so on. Then specific meetings for people who are working with juniors to get together and discuss how things are going with juniors. When a person has been in a company for a year, he doesn't need this babysitting and hand-holding, but others do. Those who just joined, even very senior people. I have seen senior people breaking down after 2 weeks and saying, I can't take this flow of information. It's too late. Once it has happened, it's too late. So we are trying to keep an eye on everyone who joins. Other things what we do, kind of how to enable continuous learning. If you will look up all these recommendations about culture, generative culture, you need to learn all the time. It will talk about continuous learning. How can you make it happen? Continuous learning. Do you have seen a post which explains what continuous learning is? So yeah, we have our ways. Once per week, we have 30 minutes call between all people who wants to join and just share stuff from their projects. Some half of group typically joins, others are busy on projects on that day, and there's really technical stuff being shared. And people learn from each other about technologies they have no chance to work with on their projects. Then, I will not explain this, read book Management 3.0, about 360 feedback, definitely. And we're trying to do that for all that 100 as well, which is amazing. Then, about new people, what I mentioned, how to get them up to speed, we invented our own board for every person to know what's expected from him on first week, on second week, on after first months of employment, and so on and so on. By company processes, nothing like that exists. How typically people join companies? Come, join, this is your project, go. It doesn't work that way for a real human, at least in my opinion. Then, of course, beer outings, please do that. Don't call them team buildings if you're drinking beer. It's just an outing. We do team buildings separately. It all comes down to, well, Riga. And this is what we show to projects. We are the best. I get call from Germany, and it starts with, we heard that you guys are the best. So this is what we want to talk about. What's next? 150. There will be Emily Friedman talking about scaling Sparta, which will be especially about issue with this, so I'm waiting for that. Stuff which can help you learn more about this. Later on, slides will be shared. All the stuff what I've been going through, if you're interested. And yeah, I'm out of time as well. One thing which one psychologist said to me, and I was like, what? And then I started slowly thinking about it. If you expect someone to take care of your engagement, you will never be successful employee, business, whatever. That's it from me.
Thank you, Uldis. Now, how is that for 5 years within 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.